The cold wind swept across the plains of Eastern Europe, carrying the scent of fear and smoke. In the distance, banners of proud European knights shimmered under a gray sky, armored men who believed they were invincible. But beyond the horizon, a storm unlike any before was brewing. The Mongols were coming. They rode not for land or gold, but for dominance, precision, and vengeance. What happened next would shake the foundation of Europe itself to 100,000 knights, crushed in only 3 days by an army that moved like shadows and killed like thunder. They called them barbarians, horsemen from a distant world. Yet in truth, the Mongols were something far greater, an unstoppable war machine born from discipline, speed, and sheer terror. Europe had never seen such precision, such coordination. While kings debated and knights prayed, Genghis Khan's successors plotted a storm. The year was 1241, and at a place called Mohi, history itself would shatter. Long before Europe trembled, the Mongols were forged on the cold steppes of Mongolia. Life there was harsh, a world of endless wind, freezing nights, and fierce survival. Every child learned to ride by the age of 3, to shoot by 5, and to kill wolves before 10. This was not just a culture. It was training for empire. Out of this brutal cradle rose a man named Temujin, the one the world would call Genghis Khan. Temujin united the scattered Mongol tribes under one banner, not by mercy, but by fear and brilliance. He taught them discipline, loyalty, and the art of lightning war. His soldiers lived on their horses, carried dry meat and fermented milk, and moved faster than any army on earth. To Genghis, every battle was mathematics, movement, timing, terrain, and when he died, his successors carried his vision west, toward the wealthy, fractured lands of Europe. Under the leadership of Baiti Khan, grandson of Genghis, and the brilliant general Subutai, the Mongol war machine turned its gaze toward the heart of Europe. They had already crushed the Rus princes, burned cities like Kiev to ash, and left no army standing. Europe's lords dismissed the Mongols as distant raiders, unaware that they were next. Subutai, the mastermind, had already mapped every route, every river, and every weakness in his next prey. Their goal was clear, not mere conquest, but annihilation. They would destroy Europe's strongest army to send a message. No wall, no armor, no faith could protect them. The Mongols marched through snow, over rivers, through forests, silent, efficient, relentless. When they reached the Hungarian plains, they found what they were looking for. King Bela IV's army of 100,000 knights and soldiers, shining in steel, waiting for battle at the Sajo River. Europe's pride was its knights, warriors clad in iron, trained from birth to fight for glory and God. The Hungarians believed their cavalry charge could crush anything. Their confidence was their doom. They looked at the Mongols, thin, leather-armored riders, and saw peasants, not soldiers. But what they didn't see was Subutai's genius unfolding behind the hills. The Mongols wanted the knights to underestimate them, and they did. On April 10th, 1241, the Hungarian camp at Mohi was alive with laughter and noise. Drums echoed, campfires burned, and priests blessed the soldiers. Yet beyond the river, in the silent darkness, tens of thousands of Mongol riders prepared a trap so perfect that even modern generals would study it centuries later. When dawn came, the knights charged straight into their own destruction. The first Mongol attack came at dawn, swift and chaotic. Arrows rained from the mist as the knights tried to cross the Sajo Bridge. The Mongols appeared to retreat, but it was a lie. Subutai's plan was already in motion. While the knights pursued the fleeing riders, another Mongol division crossed downstream, encircling them from behind. The knights found themselves trapped between two fires, front and rear, river and death. The air filled with screams, arrows, and dust. The Mongols used smoke screens, flaming arrows, and hidden catapults. Their coordination was terrifying. European commanders tried to rally, but orders vanished in the chaos. Knights in full armor drowned in the river, horses fell to Mongol spikes, and the proud banners of Europe burned in the sunrise. Within hours, the line broke, but the real massacre had just begun. The Mongols did not simply win, they exterminated. For 3 relentless days, they hunted the survivors across the plains. No mercy, no prisoners. The knights who once boasted of chivalry now fled in terror, throwing down their swords. Mongol cavalry pursued them day and night, cutting them down in silence. The sound of hooves replaced the prayers of men. The field of Mohi became a graveyard of steel and bone. When it was over, 100,000 European soldiers lay dead, their armor stripped, their horses taken. The Hungarian kingdom was shattered, and all of Europe trembled. Word spread that the horsemen of Genghis Khan had arrived, and no one could stop them. Subutai stood upon the field, surveying the destruction, knowing that this was not just victory, it was demonstration. The Mongol Empire had shown the world the future of warfare. The battlefield lay silent, blanketed in smoke and ash. The once proud knights of Hungary and Poland now littered the plain, their banners torn, their armor broken. Crows circled overhead as Mongol riders moved among the corpses, stripping weapons, finishing the wounded. Not a single cry of defiance remained. The air was heavy with the stench of death and victory. Subutai ordered his men to burn the fallen and dismantle the camps. Every trace of resistance was erased. What had taken Europe centuries to build, its faith in chivalry, its belief in invincibility, was shattered in 3 days. The Mongols didn't just defeat armies, they destroyed the idea of safety. Across the continent, whispers began to spread. The horsemen of the devil are coming. King Bela IV of Hungary, once confident in his mighty host, fled the battlefield with only a handful of survivors. His crown was gone, his people slaughtered, his land aflame. He rode for days without rest, haunted by the screams of his men. When he finally reached the coast, he begged the Pope and European kings for aid. None came. Fear had frozen their hearts. The Mongols moved swiftly through the Hungarian plains, burning villages and capturing cities. Bela's letters spoke of apocalypse, riders faster than wind, arrows that blackened the sky, and tactics no one could comprehend. They fight like demons, he wrote, and their mercy is death. Europe now realized this was not a raid, it was invasion, and nothing seemed capable of stopping it. Behind every Mongol victory stood one mind, Subutai, the greatest strategist the world had ever known. He was not born a noble, but a blacksmith's son. Yet his intellect shaped empires. He planned campaigns across continents, coordinating armies thousands of miles apart, using signal fires and couriers faster than any messenger in Europe. His warfare was not brute force, it was science. At Mohi, Subutai executed a masterclass in deception, false retreats, bridge sabotage, and simultaneous assaults from multiple fronts. He studied his enemy's habits, exploiting pride and predictability. To him, knights in armor were slow-moving targets, and castles were traps waiting to collapse. The Mongols' victory wasn't luck, it was precision. Subutai had rewritten the art of war. Each Mongol soldier was part of a perfect system. They traveled light, lived off the land, and carried spare horses to maintain speed. Communication was instant, a gesture, a whistle, a banner wave. They adapted like water, flowing around obstacles instead of smashing through. Every unit knew its role, every retreat was calculated, every ambush rehearsed. The knights fought for honor. The Mongols fought for efficiency. Their bows could pierce armor from 300 yards. Their tactics turned strength into weakness. While European armies relied on heavy cavalry, the Mongols mastered mobility. 1,000 years ahead in warfare, they could vanish and reappear miles away before the enemy even understood what happened. Against them, traditional armies were relics of a dying age. When word of Mohi reached the rest of Europe, panic spread like wildfire. Churches filled with prayers, cities fortified their walls, and kings ordered desperate defenses. Rumors grew monstrous, tales of Mongols drinking blood, devouring hearts, and bringing plagues. Fear became a weapon the Mongols never needed to wield themselves. Europe's morale crumbled before a single arrow was fired. The Pope called for unity, but kingdoms were divided by pride and politics. France doubted Hungary's story, England watched in silence, and the Holy Roman Empire quarreled over command. Meanwhile, Mongol scouts were already in Poland, Austria, and Bohemia, invisible, watching, waiting. Europe stood at the edge of ruin, unaware that their survival would depend not on strength, but on fate. Then, as swiftly as they came, the Mongols vanished. One morning, the riders who had haunted Europe's nightmares were gone. No one knew why. Cities braced for attack that never came. Scouts returned with reports of empty camps and deserted plains. The silence was more terrifying than the invasion. Had the Mongols simply decided to spare them? The truth was far away in Mongolia. The great Khan, Ogadei, had died, and Mongol law demanded every prince return home to elect a new ruler. Subutai obeyed without hesitation. Europe was spared not by victory but by destiny. The survivors would later call it a miracle. But Subutai saw it differently. To him, it was only an interruption. His maps of Europe remained open, marked for a campaign that would never come. Years later, travelers passing through the Sajo Plains still found bones gleaming in the soil. The land refused to forget. Mohi became a scar on Europe's memory, a reminder of arrogance and the price of ignorance. Priests built chapels over the graves, knights swore vengeance in secret, and bards sang songs of the day the sky fell. Yet few understood the true lesson. The old ways of war had died. The Mongols had proven that speed, information, and coordination outweighed courage and armor. They were the architects of modern warfare long before the term existed. Mohi wasn't just a defeat, it was evolution through destruction. And from its ashes, Europe would begin to change, slowly learning from the shadows of its own downfall. For centuries, Europe lived under the echo of hooves. Maps labeled the steppes as lands of the Tatars, and tales of Mongol cruelty became bedtime warnings. Yet beneath the fear lay admiration. Generals studied Mongol tactics in secret. Kings copied their courier systems and communication methods. Even in terror, the world had learned. The Mongols had reshaped civilization through blood and brilliance. The legend of their power endured longer than their empire. To this day, military academies analyze the campaigns of Subutai, calling him the Einstein of war. His understanding of logistics, speed, and deception would influence armies from Napoleon to modern generals. What began as slaughter became legacy, an unintentional gift of genius through horror. But power always has a cost. The Mongols conquered half the world, but unity fractured after Genghis's heirs turned on each other. Their empires stretched too far, too fast. Yet even as they faded, their shadow lingered, in trade, in culture, in fear. The Silk Road flourished under their control, linking east and west in a way unseen before. Out of war came connection, a strange paradox born of conquest. Europe, though spared from complete destruction, was forever changed. Armies adapted, kingdoms fortified, and diplomacy evolved. The knights who once ruled the battlefield were now relics of a past that could no longer survive. The Mongols had not only defeated them, They had rewritten the rules of survival itself. Centuries have passed, yet the legend of that battle remains. 100,000 knights destroyed in 3 days. The Mongols, those riders of wind and steel, became symbols of unstoppable force. Their empire would rise and fall, but their legacy endures in every strategy, every formation, every army that learned to move like a storm. Subutai's spirit still rides in the echoes of modern warfare. The plains of Mohi are quiet now, but if you listen closely, you can still hear it, the distant thunder of hooves rolling through time. They were not demons nor gods, but men who understood war better than anyone before or after. And in just 3 days they reminded the world that no civilization, no matter how proud, stands forever against the winds of change.